So we're used to Xbox and Microsoft having these roller coaster just announcements month after month with, they'll have a good month with Hi-Fi Rush, and then Activision deal gets blocked somewhere, and then they'll have, Starfield come out, and then they'll have a layoff, and then Redfall will come out, and there's always something going on with Xbox. But today, for some reason, PlayStation and Sony have had the weirdest month of September I've seen from a gaming company ever. Like, it was literally a roller coaster every single week. As you can see from the thumbnail I chose for this video, it's just like, it's been, all right, we're so back, and then it's like, oh dang, we're doomed. There's like, oh, we're so back, and then like something else happens. So we're gonna break down the last month that PlayStation has had, because it has been a doozy. So if you're new to the channel and you like video game news, reviews, unboxings, discussions, things like that, top 10 lists, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a like on this video, and let's get right into it. So we start off with Concord. So Concord, as everyone kind of knows at this point, is the biggest disaster in gaming as far as a financial standpoint goes, as far as player count, as far as amount of money that it took, and just being an overall flop. This game lasted around 11 or 12 days before Sony decided to pull it off the shelves, which is insane. So when the game was first shown, I mean, even the early access and the beta didn't show that great. I think there was around like 2,500 people playing at one point, and it's just, with these live service games, right? Like with the hero shooters, we've seen Overwatch, Valorant, games like that, they've had success, but to have someone just have the commitment to these games that are really built upon having interesting characters. And I did like what Concord was doing as far as trying to have the weekly releases of, different stories and content to make you actually care about the characters. I thought that was a really good idea, but it just never clicked with a lot of people. And when you get the announcement that only around 25,000 copies of this game was even sold, it's like, man, how bad could the game have been? I mean, I heard that the game wasn't that bad. It's just, it's a tough market to try and be in. I mean, you heard the rumors that it costs around $400 million to make, and we've heard different numbers, 100, 250, 400, either way, a massive amount of money, 6 years in development. And it really calls into question, what is Sony going to do? Now, we got the announcement back in November of 2023 that Sony is pulling back on their plans. Originally, they were going to have 12 live service games come out by 2026, which was a crazy amount of, live service games that will be coming out in quick succession. We've just been hearing about all these live service games just not doing that well. Of course, Fortnite and Apex Legends and all these games that came out, Valorant, a bunch of these games that came out earlier, they were early on it. And that was the thing. I think everybody's been trying to chase the live service gold rush, as you could call it, and it's just not working out for a lot of folks. So I think they were smart to cut back from 12 in 3 years, which I thought was a very aggressive business model, down to 6. But even the 6, we're seeing like Helldivers, great success, Concord, not so much. Marathon we'll have to see, and then we don't know what the other 3 games are going to be between now and 2026. Of course, you could think of these games as being just supplemental money that Sony's not building their entire identity on, but it's like they realize, hey, our big AAA, big budget games, our God of Wars, our Last of Us, all these games cost a lot of money. So if we can get these live service games that, have microtransactions as well as the $40 up front, we could fund these games and maybe get the development time a little down, get faster, return, and just some extra money that we're having injected into our portfolio. Then right after the disaster known as Concord, we got Astro Bot coming from PlayStation, coming from Team Asobi, and this game was very highly touted. It got a 94 overall from Metacritic, as well as a 94 user score, which is very good. It got that must play hit on it. Now, apparently this game isn't selling that well in Japan, where Team Asobi is actually like stationed, so that's not that great. But I think this game, people are saying it's a love letter to all of Sony's, even their deep cut games, but then even their more established franchises. Just the amount of bots, the collectibles, the platforming, the different ways you could play this game. And a lot of people were like, hey, this is a nice switch up, and this is what was needed in the, gaming industry. You have Mario, and that's about it. Back in the days, you had a bunch of 3D platformers. You had Sly Cooper, you had Ape Escape, you had Banjo-Kazooie, you had so much. Like, that was almost the end, like the definition of a video game was 3D or 2D platformer. So Astro Bot, seeing great success, had their own controller that came out that I actually grabbed myself. And yeah, like, it again, a win for Sony coming out after Concord not doing so well. But what goes up must come down, and right after the height and the hype from Astro Bot, we got the announcement of the PlayStation 5 Pro. And listen, a lot of people just were not feeling this thing, right? Like, the price is the main thing. The fact that this thing came in at $700, and yes, sure, it had some enhancements. They enhanced the CPU, they added the PSSR, AI upscaling, and things like that. And they had a list of games that actually will, have some benefits from the PlayStation 5 Pro enhancements. However, the fact that, number one, it doesn't come with a stand. Like, this is a Pro model and it can't come with a stand. That's kind of crazy. Like, I realize some of us don't even use the stand. I didn't even know it existed until I was moving and I was putting my PlayStation back in the box. But you can't get the stand, and then it doesn't come with a disc drive. And it's like, sure, you throw in an extra terabyte. And the original PlayStation, I don't know if a lot of people even remember this, the original PlayStation 5 didn't actually have 1 terabyte. It was like 825 gigabytes, which, after the system necessary hardware or software update and all that kind of stuff, you're really at like 650 or 660 or something like that. So you're closer to 500 than a 1 terabyte in the beginning. But then they don't give you a disk drive as well, and it's like, man, so you want me to pay $700 for this premium system? I gotta buy the disk drive separately, which you barely manufactured any of. And it's like, okay, let's say maybe I don't care about the disk drive, but it's the fact that I literally bought physical games for my current PlayStation. It's not like, oh, going from digital to digital and I'm fine with it. It's like, or I just want the option. It's like, I literally already have my physical games on this thing. Why does this thing not have a disk drive? And now the idea of the PlayStation 5 Pro, which was rumored for a while, was the fact that people thought, okay, all these new games coming out, specifically GTA 6, I'll be able to play. This will be the best place to play it. I'll get 4K 60, like we've been saying, or even 8K that used to be on the box of the original PlayStation. Most people don't know that because they took it off the box. But when we looked further deep into it, Digital Foundry did some videos, IGN, a few people, once they've got their hands on these things. And even some game like Dragon's Dogma 2 is still struggling to even hit 60 frames. And we learned that PlayStation 5 Pro Enhanced label, they can throw that on anything that has any type of improvements based on the PlayStation 5 Pro. So we're talking a game going from 1080p to 1280, or this game didn't have ray tracing on and now it does, or it has ray tracing in performance mode or something like that. Something as small as that can have that PlayStation 5 Pro label on it, and it's just like, that's very misleading, I think, to consumers. And now, while all of that hoopla and everybody going crazy online and everything, then we got the announcement of the PS5 Pro 30th anniversary edition. Now everybody starts seeing people backpedaling so fast. Seeing Deion Sanders, Asante Samuel, I saw all these people backpedaling all over the internet because, yes, it's nostalgic. It looks like the original PS1, everything like that. And I'm no better than anybody. I'm not going to act like, oh, I didn't look at it and say, oh, that looks pretty cool. But the first thing that came to my mind is, okay, can I buy the controller, right? And then we get the announcement that this thing is coming out as a bundle, right? Like the PlayStation 5 Pro Anniversary Edition. There's only going to be 12,300 of these, and it comes out as a bundle. So you have to buy the Pro with the DualSense Edge, with the charging station, all this stuff. And of course, they didn't give us a single price on this thing. So I'm like, this thing's going to cost $1,000. Like, I already knew, just adding up the individual items, I said, they're going to sell this thing for $1,000. And lo and behold, people were paying this thing. And now I know a lot of people complain about scalpers and things like that. And we saw the prices up on eBay. Not saying that means people are definitely going to pay these prices, but someone's going to spend over $2,000 on one of these things, whether it's a collector or they just like it that much. But it was just funny to see everybody hate on the PlayStation Pro not that far before, and then now all of a sudden, because they throw the gray and the original colors and all that on there, everybody wanted one. And then after that announcement, of course, we get the announcement of the long rumored State of Play that comes out. So that came out on Wednesday. We got a look at a few games, but the main thing was the fact that, okay, you got the PS5 Pro, show us the games that's going to look really good with the PlayStation 5 Pro. What new games are we going to get? And to be honest, there's, announcements of Horizon Remaster, some other remasters. Yeah, there were some other games that we know that Assassin's Creed Shadows, now we know it got delayed to next year and things like that. But a lot of what they were saying the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be used for was older games. They're like, hey, those games that you already own are games that we released 5 years ago. You could play those and they'll look really good. But the big announcement that came from State of Play was the Ghost of Tsushima, not 2, but yes, it will be the sequel called Ghost of Yotei. And now I do own Ghost of Tsushima. I've had it for almost 2 years now. Black Friday this year will make 2 years, and I need to play it at this point. Like it's bothering me that I haven't played it. Everyone just sings the praises of this game. But this announcement for Ghost of Yotei was highly contested online, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that till this morning, literally. And I just found it really odd. Like, I understand there are grifters and things like that who hate the quote unquote race swapping or gender swapping of certain characters, but I'm like, oh, this is a whole different game. This is literally takes place 400 years after the original Ghost of Tsushima. Why is everyone mad because there's a female protagonist? And I don't jump into these type of arguments because it's like, bro, these people are crazy. Like, what? You can't rationalize with them what this means. Like, if this game is amazing, if you love the original Ghost of Tsushima, you see the art style, you see the gameplay and everything like that, why do you care that it's a woman? Especially if, again, it takes place 400 years later. Why do they have to stick with the same character? It seems like this franchise is going to be a ghost of insert, place in Japan here, and that's what it's going to be. It could be a whole different character, but because people hate seeing representation because they're not used to it, now it turns into a problem, and it's just really sad to see people like that. So all in all, it was a very strange week for PlayStation, but I do think it's a pretty decent month, right? Like, they're going to move these, as much as people complain, they're going to move units for these PlayStation 5 Pros, right? They're moving them, the anniversary editions, out of here, the controllers out of here. You got even VR. If people are still on PSVR 2 or they want to, they got a few good games coming out from the State of Play that's going to be on there. Like the Metro game, I forget the name of it, the one that's like hand claymation looking game is going to be on PS5 and PSVR 2. So they got some good games coming out. And then, of course, the Ghost of Yotei game coming out next year. Not to mention the first party games that we don't know about yet that we'll probably see at a showcase, maybe at the later this year, the Game Awards, or early next year, who knows. PlayStation got a lot going on. Yes, they had a lot of pitfalls. Concord was a huge disaster, but they're still being able to, like, swiftly and shiftly's not a word, but they making moves they need to make to it. Y'all know what I'm saying. So again, weird month of September, but I think Sony knows what they're doing and they'll be fine. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all these recent happenings with Sony and PlayStation. Y'all let me know in the comment section below. Again, subscribe if you have not already. Leave a like on this video, and I will catch you on the next one.